नहीं तो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन कैसा करूंगा? इफ यू आस्क मी व्हाट इज प्रॉस्पेरिटी एंड आई रिपीट द डेफिनेशन, यू वोंट अंडरस्टैंड इट. आई कैन टेल यू द डेफिनेशन. समृद्धि का मतलब है अभाव का अभाव. अब आप इसको लगाओ आंसर. सुख का मतलब क्या है? सुख का परिभाषा है न्याय में निष्ठा ही सुख है. The technical definition of sukh, this that I'm explaining, comprehensive happiness, चार्ट एकदम ब्लू येलो ग्रीन डाल के, इसका परिभाषा है न्याय में दृढ़ता ही सुख है. अनदर डेफिनेशन ऑफ सुख इज ज्ञान विवेक विज्ञान ही सुख है. आप बताओ. दिस इज, आई एम जस्ट रिपीटिंग द लाइन. रोटा रट्टा, दैट्स रट्टा. But if I have to able to explain something to you, I have to have the view inside. Like even the sessions that we have, right? I really don't know what I'm going to say on the first day. We have the slides, and I really don't know what questions are going to come. But it comes, and it comes from the same universe. So every question that you ask, correct, and it's actually, you can put it very nicely. The part that you describe is the part that you can see, and your question is that part of the reality that you cannot see. And if I can see that, then I give the answer. Okay? So this bhas, this abhas, this pratiti. He was rich, and yeah, he was rich but not prosperous. Or he played basically bad economic decisions. Okay. So the thing is, he went ahead and Vijay Mallya went ahead and bought an aeroplane. Do you think he did that to expand his business? No, for recognition. Aeroplane company ka malik hai. That's something else, no? I mean, you fly in an aeroplane. I own an airline. ये अलग feeling है. He did it for that feeling, and we'll see that when we look at the motives. One of the motives is called fame motive. It's called lokeshna in Hindi. Unlike animals, it's not that we just want to survive. We want children. We have progeny motive. That is called putreshna. All of us want to have children. We want our children to grow well and to do well. ये कुत्ता बिल्ली गधा घोड़ा को ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. दैट गाय को कोई चिंता नहीं है उसका बछड़ा आगे जाके अच्छा गाय बनेगा कि नहीं बनेगा. You think that cow has that problem? Will my calf become a good cow? नहीं. I have that problem. Will my child be a good child? Even if I am not good, I want the child to be good. That cow has no worry or anxiety कि कल घास मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा. No projection of the future, right? But humans have a projection of the future. We want the assurance कि कल भी घास होगा, आगे भी होगा, बच्चे के लिए भी होगा, उसके बच्चे के लिए भी होगा. इस जन्म के लिए उस जन्म. I mean till the third, चौथे वाला का पता नहीं. I have not seen the guy, he can go to hell. But up to the third generation, I want to leave enough संपत्ति. तभी तो आदमी छोड़ता है बड़ा बैंक बैलेंस. That's called vitteshna, wealth motive. And then the third one is after having done. So Vijay Mallya did all this. He had children. Okay. He had the wealth motive. उसके बाद then what kicks in? Recognition. Now how can I get recognized? One way to get recognized is to buy an airline. Another way to get recognized is to donate your money. धर्मशाला खोल लो. He could have done that also. विजय माल्या हॉस्पिटल, उससे भी नाम मिल सकता था. विजय माल्या धर्मशाला, है ना? नहीं. विजय माल्या रेस कोर्स. So people give money to their colleges and then they get it named after their father or their name. US में भी है. If you go to Harvard, you will say so and so chair of economics, so and so chair, something something Schumann Spielberg chair of economics. वो पैसा दिया रहता है. He has given them 10 crore, 20 crore. उसका नाम आ जाता है. So basically we buy recognition using money, and that's one of our motives. That's one of the ways we get happy. So this shows that there's a really recognition in society. Who do we want recognition from? We want it from the rest of humanity, from people. That is the owner of Kingfisher Airline. किसी ने उसको लगा होगा ये दारू बनाता है. दारू बनाता लोग मुझे बोलते मैं एयरलाइन खरीद लेता. ना भाई एयरलाइन. Yeah. It's not greed, it's uncertainty. Greed is when you're trying to get more, even where you don't, where you don't have the right, through some unethical means. Okay. So there are three. So that's the thing. With every passing question, we'll have to keep expanding our portion. Okay. So the thing is, so there are three ranges that people operate in. I'll write it here, and then we'll open it up. One is called swarth. Swarth means selfishness. What is selfishness? I am concerned about me, myself, and my children. Narrow vision. Okay. This swarth, you understand swarth? I'll just write swarth. Basically, selfishness. Okay. Self-centeredness. Self or family-centeredness. This can be fulfilled using two methods. One is called naitik. Okay. By law, lawful. And the other is lawless. चोरी करके घर पे ला रहा हूं, है ना, फर्जी करके I'm bringing. If you're doing naitik swarth, it's okay. You still feel you have less. उसके ऊपर is it's called pararth. I think for the benefit of a larger community. I'm not only concerned about my family and my life and my children. I think of the world also. That is called pararth. Larger arth, larger span. And the last one is called Paramarth. I look at the ultimate. So in these 8 days, we are going to try to look at what is Paramarth. We are already doing Swarth or Parath, depending on what we are doing back home, in bits and pieces. But we are not fulfilled till we don't see the entirety. Okay, so when you are doing it, as long as it is not unethic, you're okay. As long as you're not breaking the law, you're not cheating on your taxes, you're not grabbing his money, not clicking his phone, you're good. But the internal certainty, the understanding and clarity that is needed for the internal certainty still is in the process of being developed, because it is moving from this bhas to abhas to. And also when we look at us, you'll find that all of us are not, although we want the same thing, do you think we're all standing in the same place? Like there are 18 people here. You think everybody here is in the same place? Sabka, if I draw a graph, if I draw a bar chart, कि किसका कितना है in these 4 dimensions, let us say we take the names of people. Okay, I write 18 names here. 18 नाम लिखता हूँ and I draw the 4 dimensions. Material, okay, behavioral, intellectual and spiritual. सूरज, material इतना, behavioral इतना, intellectual इतना, spiritual इतना. सबका एक ही आएगा कि अलग अलग आएगा? अलग अलग आएगा. So that's called Purva Sanskar. So all of us have developed in different ways in these 4 dimensions and carry particular sets of impressions from this, at least from this lifetime for now. That's going to decide how you really see things. So sometimes we may have, undergone some very deep experience of, let's say, not having had money. So despite understanding prosperity, there is abundance in nature, वो सब ठीक है, मेरे पास पैसा कम है. वो सब ठीक है, पानी वानी सब ज्यादा है भाई, पैसा कम है. पानी है, हवा, वो सब अच्छा लगता है. घर जाने के बाद वही तो बैंक में देख पैसा अकाउंट. I knew somebody who had a lot of money, 3 to 4 crores. And you know what she would do every day? It was very close to us. 3 to 4 crores था उसका बैंक account. She would open it every day, bank account, and see whether it is still there. रोज सवेरे 6:30 बजे. Every morning at 6:30, that is the first thing this person did. उसको आश्वासन चाहिए, wants reassurance that it's still there, wants the feeling of happiness that it's still, and they would never spend it. They were spending only 35,000 a month, but had to keep seeing it. So we also want the reassurance. इतना सिंपल नहीं है कि हमने 50 स्लाइड में डाल दिया और कोई है ना प्रॉस्परस हो जाएगा, नहीं. बट विल slowly kind of point in that direction. No. This is somebody I knew more personally. Okay. We are actually digging up 6,000 years of human history, human evolution, slowly. Okay, we will dig it up. All right, so prosperity is that. Uh, so everybody is looking at me, looking at the outside, the 620. कुछ लोग तो 45 डिग्रीज में ही चले गए है ना. So we are at 3A. Uh, so we'll come back tomorrow. So tomorrow what we'll do is we'll in the first session I'm hoping that we'll be able to talk about our plan for life. I think our progress henceforth should be smoother. We've covered quite a bit of the groundwork. We'll understand what it means to understand these four and what it results in. It should result in what I set out to achieve. This is what I want to achieve. This is my problem. This is the solution. This is the result of that solution. Okay, so we'll do that in the first session and then also talk about how we are going to go about this study. What is going to be the method of approaching it? Do you have to believe what I'm saying? Do you have to test it? Do you have to validate it? How do you go about testing it? So I'll lay out some basic rules. I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that during the first session. And starting the second session, we'll take each one of those dimensions and start opening them up. All right? Sounds good? So let's come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We've been eating up into our Shram time. Today again we had half an hour delayed. So we'll just take a call every day. Okay, it's good to do half an hour of work, but I'm thinking that if you want to sweep the floor, you can sweep the floor in your house also when you go back. As in, ये जो श्रम है, this activity that I said we'll do, it's good to have it as part of the daily routine. But I think we should give preference to the content because you've taken these 10 days and you don't know when you will get 8 or 7 or 10 days again. Okay, should we do that? Should we give more priority to the content? Sometimes at the cost of some of our other activities. But your volunteer wala, whatever you're signing up, please ensure that that's being done. The general upkeep and the cleaning, etc. We won't do the 8:30 p.m. session today. Okay, let's see whether we want to do it and whether we're able to do it. बोलते समय तो सब लोग बोलेंगे हाँ करेंगे. By the time it becomes 8:30, you'll want to curl up and sleep and say, enough of happiness and all that. You're making me unhappy with so much of happiness. Let me just sleep now. वो हो गया. Then if you feel that way, then we'll shut it down. All right? Yeah. Okay. Great. Bye. Bye. So we did 47 slides today. The larger decisions on where we'll be and what we'll do and all that. If you have a lot of money in the bank, you've read a lot of books on psychology, sociology and all that, and you have a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law who have different assumptions of what the balance of power is. You think there is going to be peace in that family or conflict? There will be conflict. So you'll have this kind of happiness. So this is an example where we have one kind of happiness. So you're getting enough food, sleep, you're getting good food, nice sensory things. The work is good. I have an iPhone, but my mother-in-law sucks. I mean, I have major problems with her. And sometimes even when you don't have to live with that person, because every time they come, then you have to deal with that. Yeah, so this is a set of assumptions that we have that is causing conflict. And the answer can only be one, or the answer can be something else. That there is a way to be with somebody. In fact, English में जो शब्द है, it is called mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. The law is saying that this is your daughter. Daughter by law, it's a contract. This can be broken, rewritten. So we want to find out what is the natural law of being between a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, if there is one like that, and how that can happen. Of course, for that to happen, both will have to understand it in the same way. So we'll have to wait. Sometimes the damage is already done, so you can't undo it. So then you'll have to figure out how to take this learning and then survive in the existing circumstances. You come from Kerala, boss, and think Kerala things are different. Kerala is a matriarchal society. The wealth of the house goes to the daughter, not to the son. And to get a good, girl, the boys, did you pay a dowry for your marriage? You didn't. That you married a Kerala girl, problem solved. Canada girl. Otherwise, he has to pay a dowry. System is gone. Ulta tha. The males had to pay money to get a good wife. It's a matriarchal society. No, not in the other southern states. My father took 5,000 rupees. My father's uncle took 5,000 rupees from my mother's side. And when I found out, I ragged him and he said, "Chod na yaar, it was not my decision." He was trying to, kind of uh, escape from that. People can't, I mean, it's not this how society changes, right? It's not acceptable. Nobody wants to say out, "Oh, sharam aati, I took dowry." Like, which means I'm uneducated, I'm backward. So there are these setups. So again, children and parents, who should listen to whom? Up to what age? Like this age, it's not going to listen to you. No, नो आइडिया उसको कोई मतलब ही नहीं आप कुछ भी बोलते रहो अपना करता रहेगा ना ही हैज नो ही इज जस्ट गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू इन हिज ओन ट्रैक्शन my daughter's 8 and a half. I think I had a window between 7 and 10 in which to set the balance between her and me on who's larger, who listens to whom under what condition, and when you don't listen for so many things, what will happen? Not out of fear, but also sometimes understanding, sometimes some kind of sickness. But the moment she touches puberty, 13 and on, the window's gone because adulthood is going to catch up very soon, and we'll see that what we call as the ego, sense of self, starts developing very rapidly after that. And then you cannot try and control that child. It's just not possible. My father was the last in our generation who tried to, I had my 12th mathematics paper the next day, and the Doordarshan ka wo tha. There was only Doordarshan. We didn't have cable TV. There used to be a program called Surabhi that used to come. You remember it? Some of the older. I don't remember what it was. It was a nice program, and it was that day was a bumper program for 2 hours. The next day was my 12th standard board exam. All right, and I sat and kept watching the program for more than an hour. चलो ऐसे भी exam था जो हो गया no, you can't do anything. It's a 12th board. After an hour, my father lost it because he thought I should be going and studying, and I was sitting and watching TV for 2 hours. He thrashed me black and blue. Right? So I went off to sleep thinking, vowing that I'll fail the maths exam. कल इसको fail करके दिखाऊंगा. What is the revenge I'll take? I'll fail. It so happened that I did very well. That was the best marks I got out of all the other physics. I ended up getting 96 or 97 on 100. And yeah, third year, fourth year was the last gift I got was maybe third year, fourth year engineering. उसके बाद बंद हो गया. So I was already 20. But you can't do that today. In the US, you can't do. He'll sue you. वो बच्चा बोलता है ना my friend who's in the US says यार बड़ी there's a big problem being here because I can't beat my child. The bugger dials 911, they'll come and take him away to social security. So the state owns the child. The state owns the welfare of the child. So some of these issues are very big. For example, youngsters should listen to elders, including in siblings. How many of us are older brothers? How many of us have younger siblings or brothers who have a problem with the fact that we behave like we are older? Not because you're older, you they never accept. And ये एक दुख है ना? नहीं है. You're okay with it. So nowadays the equality is coming up, but you see, it doesn't go down. So what is the relationship between an elder and an younger sibling? What is the natural state of being there? Because if that is so, then we can both try and be in that. Something that will not be conflicting for both of us. Yeah. Then it doesn't matter much. You have a younger sister. It's a little simpler then. You have a younger brother, the conflict chances of conflict are higher. Girls and boys, when they are together, tend to have lesser conflict versus two boys. Boy and girl का fight अलग रहता है. It's more like it's not an ego fight. It's more of I don't know, scratching and clawing, pulling at each other's hair, that kind of thing. Male fights are more serious. They're more, who's in charge and how could you say that and why did you take that decision without me and so on and so forth. So we'll also see some of that. Again, there are some more that you can see. We'll come back from T. Okay. Like one of the assumptions you can have in marriage is it's okay to have multiple partners before marriage. Right? Wrong. बहुत कॉमन हो गया लेकिन सही है गलत है what you feel you do keep your mouth shut why
Where nowadays husband and wife both are literate, highly educated, earning fabulous salary. They are making the mutual understanding that we can have mutual partners even after marriage.
yeah.
That has
It's
आजकल ये हो
called
रहा है.
swapping, no? Partner swapping. मुझे पता नहीं था. When I was watching YouTube shorts, we'll come back and have it. Continue this after tea. Uh, it's called in the US. There is an acronym for it, slang for it. It is called body count. There was a guy going around asking people, "What is your body count?" It's called body count. How many physical partners you've had? You know what the answers were? I was so उसके बाद I stopped that. I mean, I don't know how to get out of that damn shit. मतलब वो बंद when you open YouTube वही आता है, वो shorts ही दिखाता है. There's no way to like get it off. Uh, I sent the stats to my wife. The average body count in Washington was the highest in Washington State. It was 52. Average of the state 52. Highest 100, 110, 120, 140 partners. How it is possible? Exactly. Kalpanati, this is like beyond imagination. I'll send you the stats. It's available. I read a report on it. Because what Google does is, if you are watching something in YouTube, the news feed that you get will also be related to it. That is AI, artificial intelligence. उसको समझ में आता है इसको किसमें मजा आ रहा है. You keep sending that again. 52. तो जैसा समोसा खाते हैं वैसा खा रहे हैं है ना. कपड़ा बदला, चप्पल बदला, है ना, गाड़ी. यू कांट चेंज 52 कार्स इन अ लाइफ टाइम. 52 टू व्हीलर बदलना मुश्किल है. You have to meet 52 people, 52 sets of memories. Imagine. You can't even manage one. एक से ही प्रॉब्लम इतना होता है. Something is practically possible. The stats are out there. That's where society has reached. So is that a right assumption or a wrong assumption? Does it lead to conflict or does it not lead to conflict? Okay, or something, it will lead to conflict. Correct? It does lead to conflict, which is why we have to keep our mouth shut. A little less than a day and a half. It's like a weekend. But it seems like you've covered more than you can cover in a weekend. In a weekend, you'll typically read a paper, go off to sleep, maybe have some brunch, go somewhere, meet someone. Is everybody in? Yeah. Something to say? Anju Didi will come. She's heard this many times. She's here. And anybody else? Okay. Huh? 4 लोग आ गए. आप लोग आ गए. Who is sitting here? Acha, Didi is here. Farah is here. And yeah, we'll start. I can also fix it. It's nicer on the floor. Then I'm also closer to the. But the only thing is, every time I have to talk, I'll have to get up and go there. Yeah, it's nicer. So just to quickly recap, we're still on the same thread. We started with the 4 dimensions of living. 1, we saw that this makes up the entire spectrum of our knowing, our experience, and our living, as well as our experience of happiness, unhappiness, etc. We then saw that I'd like to have comprehensive happiness. This can be seen as a state of no conflict in all of these. And when this happens in enough people, then you have a happy family. When you have enough families in that, you have a happy society. And when you have Many such social organizations, you have a happy world, yeah, comprehensively happy. When we looked at the condition today, we find that there are problems there. Yeah, and I didn't spend much time into the problems because we will kind of, identify these problems as we move on. But we had a very quick review of the issues that we face there, right? On the spiritual aspect, there are unresolved issues, etc. Then I try to say that why do we have these problems, correct? And if you look at it, it's basically because we harbor some wrong assumptions in each one of these aspects of our living, number one. Number two, also because sometimes our focus is also very partial or lopsided. मतलब एक तरफ ज्यादा ध्यान दे रहे हैं ना, we are paying more attention to one. So although the others exist, this one aspect seems to take on more importance compared to the others. If you ask a question of why that happens, is it a problem in education? Well, yeah, one aspect is because education is not comprehensive. It is preparing us for only one dimension of life. In fact, education is not even teaching us how to be healthy. It's cramming us with information. It is developing our logical faculties, no doubt. That's happening. Our memory ability is increasing, and our ability to get a job increases. I don't even think education teaches us how to be good businessmen. You think education can teach you how to do business? No. And Bhaiya was in a business before he became a farmer. MBA पढ़ के तो नहीं आता है ना, नहीं, इनको पूछे, इज अ सक्सेसफुल बिजनेसमैन एंड अ सक्सेसफुल फार्मर आल्सो नाउ, ओके. लेकिन पढ़ के नहीं, both the things that he has done, he has not gone to school for. I mean, he has not gone to like finishing school for MBA and then learned how to build a business. So there are some things that we can teach and some things that we cannot teach in a formal structure. एक तो ये वाला है. So when we look at the assumptions that we harbor, there are some assumptions we harbor about the material domain. One is to do with money. The other is to assume that the only way to be happy is by continuously doing something with my tongue. And I use my tongue to happiness. मैं जीभ से सुखी हो जाऊंगा. I will use my tongue to acquire, supreme bliss. How do I do that? By constantly putting something into my tongue. Constantly putting it into. After some time, थक जाता है ना. The body too gets tired. You can't stand the sight. In fact, people get drunk, but they cannot drink the next day. The next day they have to take a break. They say, don't show me that. I'll throw up if I see it again. Correct? So overdoing one aspect is also a problem. Also harboring different kind of assumptions. When two parties are interacting, for example, in the behavioral aspect, you have two parties acting and they are in different roles. One is a mother, one is a father, one is a son, one is a daughter-in-law, one is a father-in-law, one is a younger brother, one is an older brother. Now they have all these labels, they have all these positions. And we don't know how to bring these labels and positions together in a non-conflicting manner. When we put them together, there is some problem because the underlying assumptions are different. My expectation of what an elder brother should do is different from what my younger brother thinks I should be doing. My assumption of how to be as an elder brother is also something I have not tested or validated. It's something I've just picked up from somewhere. Sometimes it's also just grows with you. Like being egotistical or, over evaluating yourself is not something you pick up. It seems to be something that just grows into us. You grow to become overconfident. You grow to become arrogant. कोई बोलता है कि arrogant हो जाओ? Does anybody teach us to become arrogant? No. So there is something in us which is called the ego that seems to develop over a period of time. Which is why it's so nice to be with children because they don't have arrogance. Number one. Secondly, we like being with children because they don't judge us. You're finally able to interact with something or an entity that has no opinion about you. Like that little 1-year-old child, it has no opinion about you. The moment it comes to know who you really are, it will stop being so nice to you. This guy is like this, right? So as we grow up, we are able to get this impression, like you were saying, right? The heap. You get heaps, and this is part of our heap. If you go to the Gaushala here, they have a heap of hay. So we have different heaps. We have one heap that tells us what to do with the body and everything material, including money. Yeah, so one message that I get from outside is money can buy happiness, or I assume that to be true. There's another heap that tells me what to do with a wife, what to do with a child. In fact, sometimes I'm not even acting according to some heap. I'm just acting in some default manner. So we looked at some of those assumptions there. One of the assumptions was, beliefs was, assumption or belief is, it's okay to have multiple partners before marriage. Somebody can say yes, somebody can say no. Then the next question that arises is how many is tolerable? And I gave you the stats from the US, statistics from the US. I too was surprised. I didn't expect it to be so bad. I thought दो तीन होगा. Movie and जो पुराना देखा हुआ याद है, I thought maybe they must be having 2 or 3 relationships before marriage because they start dating at the age of 16, yeah, and they might get married by 30. So maybe 3 partners, 52, 100, 105, and this is not some official. These people are asking people on the street. So they say that data is actually more true. When somebody gives you a questionnaire, you tend to answer things that are politically correct. You hide some because overall it puts a pressure on you. This is just asking people on the street and they compile the data. They ask some 3,000 people in every state. 52, 104. Right? So then that feels like an animal. Then you're no longer social. It's like a tortoise or a lizard or like, I don't know, rodent or rats or pigs, but not, it doesn't seem human. So there's something wrong. And so these are some of the assumptions that we saw, and we'll pick up these assumptions again. Right now, we just want to get to the fact that we have assumptions. Assumptions regarding the mind, regarding myself, the intellectual aspect. How many of us feel we're educated? We have some assumption about it, right? Then somebody can ask, what is the meaning of education? Are you literate? Are you educated? Are you civil? How many of us feel we are intelligent? Come on. How many of us feel we are intelligent? No? Come on, सबको लगता है that मुझे आता है, that I'm smart. How many of us feel we are dumb? We're stupid. We're not intelligent, not stupid, then what are we? Eh? Idiot. English में एक नाम है जो moron. Moron is somebody who doesn't know anything. I shared with you my own story. When I was in engineering, I joined first year and I found that I have no interest in this subject. And I was wondering how I'll get through 4 years. ये तो गया काम से. I landed in the wrong place. And everybody around me was enjoying the subject. So then I decided I'll manage them. मैं MBA करके इनको चलाऊंगा. I'll become their boss. They can continue to program for me. Correct? So we have these notions of wanting to be great. How many of us feel we are nice people? How many of us are told by the people around us that we are nice people? हमारे आसपास के लोग भी हमको बोलते कि तुम अच्छे हो. मुश्किल है. The number will go down. How many of you are told this all the time that you are very nice and I'm happy, I'm lucky to have met you? People you live with, not people you meet for 5 days, 6 days. देखो 5-6 दिन में everybody looks nice. You're going to say I met very nice people. But if all of us have to stay in the same ashram for 1 year, cooking together, planning together, that's when our, issues will start because I will not like the fact that you don't wake up on time. I'll not like the fact कि मैंने इसको बोला झाड़ू उठा ये भूल गया. रोज भूलता है. रोज मैं बोलता हूँ झाड़ू उठाओ रोज भूल जाता है. Now this is repetitive behavior that I don't approve of. That kind of builds up inside me. In Hindi, there's a good word for it. It's called granthi. Granthi is like a knot. So the closest relationships that we live in end up become very naughty. And what are these knots? These knots are those aspects of you that I don't like, that continue to persist, and that I continue to dislike. So after some time, it becomes a gant. It becomes a knot. And then every time I see you, I'm seeing you through that knot. There's no other aspect of you that I'm able to see. Correct? And sometimes those aspects of me that you don't like are the fact that I don't listen to anyone. This is like our person. ये किसी की बात नहीं सुनता है. Like I'm told that, you don't listen to anybody. So my answer is, if I listen to you, I would have become like you. I didn't want to become like you. You have to go and follow your own thing. So again, I'm rich is an assumption I have. Am I rich or do I have access to money that is lying in a bank in my name? Is it my identity or is it denote my access? Is money my identity or is it the fact that I have access to it? I have access to it. We all knew that the day Notbandi hua, I was in the train. Gauri, me and Devika boarded a train to go to Delhi. And 8 baje, when we tried to order for dinner, वो बोला कि नोटबंदी मोदी जी had gone on this thing at 8 o'clock. By 8:20 500 का नोट खत्म हो गया. So we couldn't eat that night because nobody accepted the note. The caterer refused to accept the 500 note bandi हो गया ना. And you remember the next 2 or 3 days were holidays. So you could not go to the ATM and withdraw money either. वो छुट्टी के 2 दिन पहले बोला. So when we reached Delhi, we took a taxi, pay on demand. We went to our friend's house, made sure he had money to pay this guy in not 500 rupee no, not 1000. कौन सा बंधु है? 1000 and 2000 बंधु है ना? 500 बंधु and 2000 came. Then he paid him in hundreds. Then we waited for the ATM to open, withdrew some 100 and then we traveled to Rajasthan. So when you have money, it is the assumption that I have access to, that I can put it to use, that helps. So once it's lost its inherent value, it becomes meaningless. Some other assumptions that we have, right? I belong to XXX religion, XXX caste. So we'll kind of investigate or, explore some of these assumptions that we carry to see how far they're true and false. We have gone to meet Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, का statue. लिबर्टी नहीं, यूनिटी है. लिबर्टी नहीं, इधर लिबर्टी नहीं मिलेगा आपको. यूनिटी मिलेगा इंडिया में. देयर इज नो लिबर्टी. So these are some assumptions that we carry about who we are, and we'll speak a little more about identity. But right now, I just wanted to bring up the fact that we carry these assumptions in the 3 areas. The spiritual dimension too consists of many assumptions. Okay, like number 1, range of assumptions we have. One is there is no God. Set of people, anybody here believes no God? There is nothing. Nobody will do anything to you. You can be brave. Nobody sitting, but there is something. Some flow of energy. Okay. There is one God but no form. एक भगवान निराकार. God has form. है ना, साकार. Another assumption, there are many gods. Yeah, but there are also beliefs about the spiritual. Do you think all of them can be true at the same time or only one can be true? Can reality accommodate all these assumptions or will only one assumption be true? Not me, my family. They have these different assumptions. I just want to ask you or bring to our notice, are these assumptions or are they realities? And if they are realities, can all of them be true at the same time? Can't be, right? Logically, if you look at it, there can only one of them can be true. Yeah. So if you take option 1, ये झंझट खत्म हो गया. Okay. If you take option 2, ये दोनों झंझट खत्म हो गया. If you take option 3, then there is a choice की 1 की many. If there is many, then how many? In India, they say it is 33 koti, but koti means type, not crore. Nobody, crore hai, time ही नहीं गिनने को. Koti means type. That's another. See how language creates confusion. In India, they have said there are 33 koti hai. The word koti in today's Vyavasayik language has become crore, whereas koti in Sanskrit actually means type. 33 types of God. Okay. But then, are these 33 types equal to each other or are they all different? उसके भी hierarchy है. Somebody is on top, somebody is below, somebody is at the bottom of the pyramid. There is a lower God, a higher God. Yeah. So these are just some assumptions and we'll explore some of these assumptions. Yeah, with an open mind and see where we get. Again, assumption about myself. One is assumption about God. I exist. True, false. Maybe true, maybe false. I do not exist. I is an illusion. You exist. But there are many people who would believe that they don't exist. Or study book जिसमें लिखा रहता है you don't exist. I is an illusion. Huh? If you pinch yourself, you are pinching the body and that is not you. That is the answer you will get. No comment. This is another illusion. तो हमारे इधर जोक करते हैं कि they're called Mayavadin. In Indian terminology is called a Mayavadin. A Mayavadin is somebody who believes in the notion of Maya. Maya बोल के एक है. We won't get into it because that will become a discussion of other philosophies. But how do you check whether the Maya? How do you give the Mayavadin a reality check? He'll keep saying ये Maya है, you don't exist. बोला उसको एक झापड़ मार. Slap the fellow. Then see how he reacts. Then ask him who is reacting. If you don't exist, then who is reacting? Correct? Anyways, these are notions. I exist and I am in the brain. One option. Option 2, I am outside the brain. Option 3, I am with the brain. I am around the brain. So how many people here feel they don't exist? Believe that they don't exist. I is an illusion. यहाँ कोई नहीं है. We had one workshop and somebody said that and I was a participant. And the speaker actually put it nicely. After some time, whenever the guy would ask a question, he would ignore him and continue to talk to the rest of the class. After about 45 minutes, that guy couldn't. He said, I've been asking you questions and that time you're ignoring me continuously. He said, 45 minutes ago, you just said you don't exist. I mean, how come you still have a question if you don't exist? सब माया है ना? मैं भी माया हूँ. People have said this. They've written big books on it. There are entire movements around this. इससे क्या हमको समझ में आता है? Human beings have a tendency to believe. And the beliefs can be fantastic. ये समझ में आता है? Because for somebody having this belief that there are many gods, the belief that there is no God is a fantastic belief. For somebody who believes that there is no God, the belief that there are many gods is a fantastic belief. Of course, somebody may claim that I know that there is no God. Like if you talk to a theoretical physicist, he'll say, look, we've looked at cosmology, we've looked at the stars, we've looked to the Hubble telescope, and your God is nowhere to be seen. Abhi to people are asking hard questions, right? Even on the Bible, on these texts. It's difficult to answer. अभी वो एक रिचर्ड डॉकिंस बोल के है ना? उसका कुछ आता है. He puts it across very hilariously. So in the story of whatever the growth and development of the world, basically according to Christian mythology, according to the Bible, the world was formed in 6 minutes. 6 minutes में बन गया. And in 2400, he says carbon dating is giving us so many lakhs of years. Correct? And how can the Big Bang and all the planets and everything be formed in 6 minutes? It's not possible. 6 minutes में lithium भी बन गया, arsenic भी बन गया, hydrogen sulfide भी बन गया, human beings, they grew a beard, everything happened in 6 minutes. Too fast. So but people ran with these religious texts for many years. They were ready to kill for those religious texts. We are still killing each other for the religious texts. Correct? It may or may not be true, we don't know. But for now, we just know that there can be different beliefs. Again, there could be an assumption that the brain is me. I myself am the brain. That's another assumption that we can have. Another assumption we have, the universe is created, but it is not controlled. Somebody made it, but nobody is controlling it. Another assumption we can have is it is created and controlled. Another assumption could be the universe is formed by accident. Okay, it was a big blast. It can be It follows physical laws. This is called physicalism. है ना? The universe is self-caused and has definite laws. खुद ही बना and has definite laws and nobody is making it. So these are some assumptions we carry in the spiritual dimension. Just like we have in the behavioral dimension. है ना? Mother-in-law should listen to daughter-in-law and vice versa. And we have in the intellectual dimension. So in each of the four dimensions we have, we find that we harbor or we carry a bunch of assumptions. Sometimes they may be contradicting amongst themselves. Sometimes they are contradicting something that somebody else has, and hence you can't coexist with that person. It's just not possible. Either you cannot coexist spiritually, sometimes you cannot coexist behaviorally, otherwise you cannot coexist intellectually. Yeah. So this is a question. What do you think is the answer? Do you think we really understand things, or you think we just have beliefs or assumptions about things? We have beliefs and assumptions. When it comes to the material world, we can use a scientific method to really decipher that and decide what exists. But when it comes to the other dimensions of living, we all harbor a set of beliefs which may or may not be true. Yeah. So this is one inference that we can come to. For example, when it comes to the material things, money or relationship with nature, how much money is needed, how many things are needed is something we're not clear of. So our relationship with the material world is uncertain. In the behavioral world, if you look at it, how should I be with my parents, with my siblings, colleagues, the man down the street? How should I be with Pakistan is also a set of beliefs that I carry, which may or may not be true. And also, how do I see people? Do I see them through the lens of religion? Do I see them through the lens of money? Do I see them through the lens of education? Educated, non-educated, my religion, another religion is a set of beliefs that we have. Right? And this is another set of beliefs. So this is basically uncertainty. Right now, the only thing I want to bring out is uncertainty. There is uncertainty. We really, really don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. Correct? Again, we have unsureties about ourselves. Am I right or wrong? Sometimes life will force you to ask this question. You may be supremely confident and then you will have a series of problems, right? Sometimes circumstantial, behavioral, emotional, and then you'll wonder, was I even right to have taken that decision? So I'm unsure about myself. Am I good or bad? I like to think I'm good, but I don't kind of get that feedback all the time from the outside. Sometimes it looks like I'm not such a good person after all. So on or the other, right? Am I good looking or not? Right? And the like. It's, huh. There's some mantra booklet. Okay. So there are all these uncertainties, and of course, in the spiritual one, we saw that we really haven't been able to answer these big questions. In fact, those are some of the questions that science is trying to answer today. And we can infer that we are largely unaware of our own assumptions or beliefs, and we probably just pick them up from the environment, from books, and from the family that we were born in, depending on which area of, which aspect of living we're talking about. There's a set of beliefs that we live with, some of which work and some of which don't work. कुछ काम करता है, कुछ काम नहीं करता है. Number one. And if you look at our individual educational and societal focus, it's on the material dimension. We've already covered this. Nobody is really talking about the other areas, whereas that seems to comprise a larger aspect of our unhappiness and happiness. The material dimension is very limited in how much it can offer us. It's necessary, but not sufficient. Right? The material dimension is necessary, but by itself is not sufficient. So we need to explore these other areas. So our goals, thoughts, imagination, views, etc. could be based on partial or incorrect beliefs that we have. There's another inference that follows from this. And this brings us to a very important conclusion, which basically is that all this stems from incomplete views. This is called Apurna Darshan. We are able to see partially. Understanding is partial. Seeing का मतलब क्या है? आंख तो इतना ही है. Understanding is partial. I'm focusing more on one area, or if I'm looking at it, I have some wrong assumption about it, or a mistaken association of it. Yeah. So if I believe in multiple partners before marriage, every boy or girl that I meet, I'm looking at as somebody who can prospectively land me into the room instead of interacting with them. यही होगा ना? If you believe that multiple partners are possible before marriage, after marriage, will you be able to behave with people, or will you be constantly trying to pick up people? You will constantly be trying to pick up people. Nobody will want to be friends with you. Such people are called sleazy. And women can make out very quickly. वो देख के ही साथ इसको पता है इसका नजर ठीक नहीं है बोलते भाग जाते हैं वहां से है ना we be constantly doing that. So that's one example of a deluded, a mistaken association. Another mistaken association is I am the elder brother, so there's a younger brother, so I will dominate them. Right? Do you think anybody wants to be dominated? No. When I end up dominating, that's a mistaken association I made. I can recognize that it is a brother, but my association is mistaken. It's deluded. So it is called Brahm. So the word in Hindi is called Brahm. This is called Apurna Darshan and Brahm. And we are in a similar situation when it comes to living. Okay. So if we take this ahead, what we arrive at is when we live with such incomplete views or merely on the basis of assumptions, it leads to uncertainty in us. And we are uncertain because we have all these assumptions. We've really not tried to investigate or understand. When I say we as individuals, as a race, we've tried it, but we've not been able to really bring it together. And we don't like uncertainty. You like certainty or uncertainty? खाना मिल भी सकता नहीं भी मिल सकता. You may or may not get dinner tonight. Your ticket may or may not get confirmed. You may or may not have a child. You may or may not get married. You want certainty there, right? This roof may or may not fall onto our head. If we had said it कि यहाँ बच के बैठिए बाकी सब ठीक है कभी कभी ये रूफ नीचे गिर जाता है ना You can't sit here after that. We want to live with trust. We want to live with assurance. So he told me this. We are sitting on a water tank. It may collapse. It's good 50 years ago. Those cows there may come and charge at you. इन्होंने बोला था ना यहाँ के काउ से बच के रहिए सारे बच्चे सावधान हो गए Now they're slowly trying to get some confidence that the cows are not coming in this direction. We don't want that uncertainty. Adults तो गए ही नहीं उधर. They were all happily having tea there. The kids at least were brave enough to go and explore a little bit. Yeah, cameraman may or may not come tomorrow. Uncertainty. Human beings cannot live and do not want to live with uncertainty, and that's a problem. I mean, that's a need for a cause for our unhappiness. We may have hyperinflation tomorrow. Your money may come down to nothing. Government may stop pension. China may attack us. यही तो है. This uncertainty is something that we cannot live with. So human beings, we want certainty. And why is that? Because certainty is embedded in the design of nature. Everything on this planet, if you look at the nature around us, everything is very certain and very definite. True or false? It's very true. I mean, very definite and very certain. The seasons are fixed. Water flows from a higher level to a lower level. This law is fixed. The behavior of an ant is fixed. Who and what we are as human beings is not fixed, and that is the basic problem. Across the different dimensions. एक dimension में we were able to fix it, the other dimensions are still missing. So what do? Correct? So again, these four aspects of our living are the source for our happiness, unhappiness, conflict, etc. We've already covered this, so I'll skip this. So what do we need to do? We need to figure out these four aspects. This becomes our portion. Alright, so what do we need to do? We need to resolve them and we need to know what to do in each one of them. And if you look at today's focus, we've already covered this, so I won't deliberate too much on it. We focus more on the material dimension. We take relationships for granted. How many of us have thought of how to be in these relationships? We haven't. Guilt, unhappiness. It's automated. वही लिखा है default mode. पत्नी, बेटा, भाई, default mode में. We've never thought of what really works in that relationship. What is the right way to be? in a husband-wife relationship? What does it mean to be equal or fair in a husband? We've never thought of it because we've never paid attention. We've never considered that it's a big part of my living, which it is. Yeah. So, whereas these relationships are what make a lasting impression on us. The car we buy doesn't leave a lasting impression. It leaves a momentary impression. After that, you forget it. And then every time you see it, you remember that I have a car. You don't remember it while sleeping and waking. But the people don't let us sleep. It's the people who either let us sleep or don't let us sleep. We will lose sleep. It's myself, my fears, my uncertainties, right? So the intellectual dimension again comes as an afterthought. We hardly spend any time or effort. So this is what we need to do. So you can see that our predominant progress and focus has been on the material dimension. We have and live with incomplete views or assumptions in the other four aspects. So these assumptions lead to problems and conflict and lead to unhappiness. So this is the basic cause of the problem, and it is the problems that lead to unhappiness. So if we root cause it, it comes out that dukh comes from samasya. Samasya means problem, and unhappiness, right, is dukh, ashanti, asantosh, discontentment. It basically comes from some problem in that area that is not addressed. So the answer to human problems is to find out the solution, and that's called resolution. And that's what we want to try and uncover. So we've addressed our second question, why to live. The goal of life is comprehensive happiness in all four dimensions. We have conflict. We briefly saw the set of conflicts. The reason for the problems are these incomplete seeing or beliefs that we harbor in all four. So how will we fix it? Correct the wrong beliefs and complete what you cannot see. Put in the right understanding. So that becomes my plan for life. मेरा goal क्या था? Comprehensive happiness. And I'm not able to get it because of these issues. What is my plan for life? Fix these problems. Or do what is needed to be able to complete this. I'll pause here if you have anything to share, comment on, inquire. Are corrected. Yeah. So the beliefs, incomplete seeing, etc. are corrected by understanding all four aspects. So this really becomes our plan for life. So what is the plan of human living is to address or get understanding in all these four dimensions of my living. Because this encompasses the sum total of my experience as an individual, as a family, as a society, as everybody.
To the slide just before. One more. So what do you mean in intellectual you have written it comes as an afterthought? Meaning?
बाद में सोचते हैं when you're 50-55 you wonder मैं क्यों जी रहा था, what are the purpose of all this. It's not part of the initial. Yeah, even for us हमारा ध्यान भी नहीं जाता. Whereas all the content nowadays, see, nobody can complain that nobody told me. All the information is available on the internet. You just have to use the right keyword to search. We're not searching for that. We're searching for car parts. We're searching for shirts, pants, comic books, Brad Pitt ka picture. This is what we're searching for. All the information is out there. It's a different matter that it may not be able to fulfill it. It may not be complete. You won't find any one book that brings all of this together. I know that for certain. That doesn't happen. I mean, it's not there. You'll get book focusing on one. You'll get books focusing on two. You'll get books focusing on three. Books focusing on four. If a book is focusing on four, spiritual, it is denying everything else. If a book is focusing on material, it is denying everything else. If it is focusing on relationship, it is not talking about everything else. Men क्या है? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. ऐसा एक book है. मैं कभी पढ़ा नहीं. बहुत पुराना है. It talks of relationship, how to be in husband wife. अमेरिकन पढ़ के शादी करके पढ़ के सोचता है कि कैसा रहो उसमें. How to be. उसके बाद 52, 100, 104 का काउंट आ रहा है. Body count. I still can't forget the body count. I was so shocked. It was beyond my imagination. I knew the situation was bad, but ये तो गया गुजरा है. मतलब this week is like hard to recover. The world record is held by a woman from the UK, by the way. The count is 722. That was 1 year ago. 722 partners. ये पेपर में है, पूना में, जैसे कि छपने के लिए और कोई न्यूज ही नहीं है ना दुनिया में. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is the most important problem in the world now. That lady gave an interview and she had kept a record as proof. Scientific proof है उसके पास. Signature है सबका, नाम, फोन नंबर, सिग्नेचर एंड विटनेस, सत्यापन. Yes. Yeah. So again, our beliefs in this domain are also mixed with religion and culture, etc. Okay, we'll come to that. But really, what we want to arrive at is this, you know, the discovery or the uncovering that what I basically want is this comprehensive happiness in four. And when I root cause it, why is it that I don't have it? It turns out that I have these kinds of problems. Every problem has some belief, some incomplete seeing, and we're now going to have to address that. So this in essence will give us our syllabus for the remainder of the 8 days. So do you think this reasoning or these answers are true for every human being or only for the people in this room? Every human being. And do you think it depends, it varies by economic status, rich and poor? No. सबका हालत इतना ही है. Rich and poor में इतना ही अंतर है, size of the house that they are sitting in while the conflict is happening. While this conflict is happening, while this confusion is happening, are you sitting on a marble floor? Are you using a western toilet or Indian toilet or sitting under a tree? इतना ही फर्क. नहीं. There's no other difference. There is some difference as food security. Everybody here is food secure. सबको पता है खाना मिलेगा. There are people who live day to day. They earn 300 rupees a day. If they don't work the next day, they won't get to eat. If the fall sick a day, so वो भी चल रहा है. I'm not saying poverty doesn't exist. It exists. It's very true, and we'll have to also talk of why it exists. But if you look at this entire reasoning, it is true irrespective of gender, irrespective of nationality. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, so we'll see where this takes us. Yeah, जी. हाँ, बोलिए ना, आप उसमें बताइए. Yeah, yeah. The answer is both. One is, yeah. So what you're trying to ask is, or what you're trying to get to is, I have access to money. Yeah, I have access to the money. I've heard these lines that having more than is necessary leads to prosperity, but I didn't still don't feel prosperous. That's because that means that I have the information, but the information has not got translated into meaning. There is shabd and arth. So I have the data. I have now information that I have more. I computed I need 50,000 rupees a month. I know that I can get 50,000 rupees a month. So it gives me some level of assurance, but I don't feel fully assured. And why is that happening? That's because that meaning, that arth is not getting fully ingrained in me. And if you ask why that's not happening because the larger picture, the study of the larger picture isn't happening. It's happening in bits and pieces. Okay, we'll address that more when we get to relationship with everything material, and we'll discuss a little more about just to get a sense of it. दोनों है for humans one experience. So in all the understanding that we are talking about here, you will go through 4 phases. Okay, I'll write them here. uh, right now we'll just stick to 3, and then when we come to the end of these slides we'll take that up again. Is everybody too tired? No, somewhat tired, a little bit tired. No. So these are the stages by through which we will pass through. For every understanding that you will gain through this entire exercise, you will first get what is called a glimpse of reality. This is called bhaas. So पहले मुझे होश ही नहीं था. I didn't realize that wealth and prosperity is different. Now after having heard it a few times, having thought of it a little, a few times here and there, I get a glimpse. I have a kind of feeling that I'm prosperous. Specifically with to do with prosperity, you will find it in two dimensions. One is by producing more, by actually doing utpadan. For example, you grow carrots, correct? And there are so much of carrot you can't eat. Like they grow chiku. अब इनको लगता है चीकू जाए बस सड़ रहा है, and they are watching it. All their hard work is now decaying. Now somebody has to eat it, and अब लोग भी खा के थक रहे हैं. हम भी खा ले. Everybody had chiku yesterday, today. Now nobody is looking at the chiku. Everybody is walking by the chiku. There's too much of chiku. Right? So there is an abundance. So this is an abundance as things. ये जो work से क्या मिलता है? Things और objects मिलता है. But the way the world functions today is there are some things and objects that are only got with money. For example, your phone bill. You cannot pay it with chikus. है ना, एयरटेल को 4 किलो चीकू भेज दिया, मेरा 1 मंथ का रिचार्ज कर. Doesn't work like that. You have to sell the chiku, convert it into money, and then say recharge. Now, this is where the problem begins. Where is the problem? Now I have an abstract thing जिसका वैल्यू फ्लक्चुएटिंग है. चीकू का वैल्यू फिक्स है कि फ्लक्चुएटिंग है? चीकू का वैल्यू, चीकू का प्राइस अलग है. दिस इज चीकू का प्राइस 5 रुपए 10 रुपए, बट ये चीकू का वैल्यू है. its utility value is fixed. It will give you this much of nourishment irrespective of the rate in the market. So that production that you can directly consume as utility value, okay, which is called upyog mulya, will give you a feeling of abundance. But for those goods and services that you will get only using money, and where you have not studied what is money and its relationship to utility value, it will still leave you feeling insecure. So the answer is, if you try and produce something, you will feel secure to the extent that you are able to produce that thing, but the insecurity will still remain in other areas. Like I get sick tomorrow, I have to get admitted to hospital. I can't take 20 kilos of oranges and give it there. I need money. फिर वो 2 लाख 3 लाख. To earn 3 lakh rupees selling oranges, आपका घुटना टूट जाएगा. Very difficult to earn 3 lakh rupees from oranges. बराबर ना? You will have to sell 10 lakh worth of oranges just to make 3 lakh rupees profit. ठीक है? When you convert this utility into money is where, so when you're looking at prosperity, there are 2 aspects. One is the utility value and the other is money as a concept, and being able to see that I have more. And I need 50,000. मेरे को 60,000 आ रहा है. But if an economist talks to you, he'll make you feel poor in 2 minutes. He'll say today तुमको जो 60,000 आ रहा है, next year it is going to be worth only 56,000, even if you keep it in the bank. And the year after it is going to be worth only 52,000. And ये जो है तुम्हारा, this will keep going up. ये साल जो तुम्हारा 56,000 and next year it is going to go to 59,000. So your cost of living will keep going up and the value of your currency will keep coming down. This is what scares people. ये जो भय है हमारे में is because we have to deal with money. So and we'll deal with money. Okay. But to answer, so this is specifically to do with prosperity. There are these two kinds of experiences you'll have. So by directly producing, you will feel the feeling of abundance. है ना? Like you look at a big lake, I want to drink 1 cup of water, there is a very large lake. बहुत अच्छा. But if say you can't fill your internet bill, you can't pay for your taxes, you can't pay for your house rent, you can't pay for electricity, correct? With water. बोला भैया पहले से इतना सारा पानी है, पानी थोड़ा ले लो. ना, you have to pay him in the currency that he's asked for. Correct? So, for every understanding, the first level is called glimpse. The second is called, these are degrees of understanding, it is called semblance. Yeah, intuition, this is called abhas. And then you will get something called certitude. This is called pratiti. This is absolute. From here it starts becoming certain, fixed. So you have to go through this journey. अभी जब हम सुनते हैं ना, self अलग है, body है, whatever you may have heard, there is prosperity, we need trust. You will get a glimpse. आपको लगेगा कुछ कुछ दिख रहा है, but will not be fully clear. You have to go through the process of understanding to take this step by step. So the introductory workshop can only give you partial glimpse. To get a full glimpse itself takes a long time. It's taken me 12 years to move from glimpse to abhas. I mean, my time was like that. Maybe you'll do it faster. But just to give you an idea. Certitude, pratiti. In English it is called certitude. Certainty. पक्का हो गया, मैं समृद्ध हूँ, आई एम प्रॉस्परस. नाउ देयर इज नो गोइंग बैक. इट डजंट मैटर इन्फ्लेशन कितना है, व्हाट इज द रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया इंटरेस्ट रेट, ऑल दैट डजंट मैटर.